Story of the time that me and my friends jumped off a bridge. And no, I do not advise you to jump off a bridge, so don't do that. This is something that I did when I was 14 and stupid. So I had this one friend, and he was always that kid who was doing front flips and back flips and just like always being so active and crazy. So me, him, and a group of our friends all went to the beach one day. And he was telling us about this bridge that he would always come to in the summer to like jump off of it into the water. And none of us were planning on jumping off this bridge except for the kid. So we get to the bridge and it's not like too high up, but like it's still like scary. Like if you were to like be leaning over the edge of it, you'd be scared. I mean, at least for me. So the second that we get to the bridge, he decides to jump off of it and do a front flip. And one of my girlfriends who was there as well jumped off the bridge too. And then another person, then another person, then everybody except for me jumped off the bridge. Until they somehow convinced me to want to. By the way, this didn't end pretty. Like for part 2. Story of the time me and my friends jumped off a bridge. Part 2. So they eventually convinced me to jump off this bridge. So I stood up on this railing type thing. It was like a ledge. And I jumped into the water. And it wasn't like 1, 2, 3, like easy, just jump in. I was literally like so scared. Not gonna lie, it kind of felt good while I was doing it. I was like, dang! I'm not gonna do it again, but that was cool. And mind you, like, I didn't even think about it at the time, but we were literally trespassing. You're not supposed to jump off a bridge. Then once I'm in the water, I'm like, wait a minute. How am I gonna get out? Because like I said, my friend who would always like do these crazy stunts, he was very like active. Like he was able to like climb a tree, no problem. Do a backflip on a thin wire, no problem. He was just really good with like things like that. So at that point, he already jumped off the bridge and climbed back up like 5 times. And he made it look really easy. So then I start climbing up this wall where there's literally coral, scratching up my toes and my hands, and he was at the top trying to like pull me up and help me. And once I got to the top, I was literally gushing blood.
Story time about how I was the side chick. So it was my freshman year and I had just moved to a new school. And I lived next to this senior boy. You know, the one that thinks you're good enough to do stuff with but not good enough to date? Yeah, that one. Well, we both were on the same bus and I thought he was really cute, so I asked him for his Snapchat. And I got it. So we started talking a lot, and we would always talk about me sneaking over his house because my parents were super strict. So homecoming night, I saw him grinding with this girl, but I didn't exactly think anything of it because literally everybody was just being passed around. Well, I went home after, and at like 2 in the morning, I got a text from him saying to come over. So I went over there, we did the dirty, and then I started to go over there almost every other night. At 2 in the morning. And there was this one girl that I got really close with. And I told her all about the situation, but I didn't tell her till like 3 months after it was happening because he told me not to tell anybody, of course. And she goes, you know he has a girlfriend, right? So I felt really bad and confronted him like for part 2. Part 2 of me being the side chick. So that night he had asked me to come over again. And I went over there, but it's not what you think it was for. I got over there and I was like, when were you gonna tell me you had a girlfriend? Literally, this comment made me want to throw up. He goes, what do you mean? I thought you knew. So I was like, no, I actually didn't. And he goes, so does that mean you don't want to come over anymore? He goes, I really liked you, and I was gonna break up with my girlfriend for you. Which I know this is so bad, but that made me happy because I had the biggest crush on him. But then I just left. And the girl that he was dating was a senior. And I asked my friend for her Snapchat so I could Snapchat her. So I did, and I told her everything that was going on. And somehow it got flipped around on me. Her saying that I was obsessed with her boyfriend. And then she got the nudes that I sent her boyfriend and sent them around the whole school. My new school. Moral of the story, if he says he's single, make sure he's actually single.
Story of the time Miley Cyrus went to my elementary school. So I was in 1st grade, and all the cool kids sat at the round table during lunch. And one of the cool kids was absent one day, so I ended up sitting there. I sat next to this girl named Riley. And over the school year, me and Riley became really close friends. One day at the lunch table, she told me she had a really, really big secret that she could only share with me and that I can't tell anybody else. She told me that she was Hannah Montana. And at first, I was a little bit confused because I saw Hannah Montana on TV and she didn't really look like her that much. But then she had told me that her hair was just a wig because her hair was blonde and her actual hair is brown. And her family told her that she had to tell everybody her name was Riley, but in reality, her name was Miley. She invited me over her house to see her walk-in closet and to also show me herself without her wig. Little 1st grade me was so hype about joining the cool table, but not only that, now I was friends with Hannah Montana. So I went to her house and then soon realized she wasn't Hannah Montana.
Story time. My manager became my stalker. 4 years ago, when I turned 16, I started working at Dunkin'. This was my first job, by the way. So my interview process was super easy. We probably talked for like 5 minutes and then he just hired me on the spot. When it came to training, he was the only one that could train me. And he told people not to teach me anything or to not even talk to me. So I found that weird. So this one day my dad texted me and obviously I went to go check my phone. And my manager was literally stalking me through the security cameras. I probably held my phone for 10 seconds. And he texted me within that same period of time to get off my phone. So I look up around me and I'm like, where is he watching me from? He's not even here. He was literally watching me from his house. Every little thing I did, he would text me about it. And then things got a lot weirder, like for part 2. Storytime, my manager became my stalker part 2. Like I said, he was watching me through the security cameras on every little thing I did. And he would text me about it. At the time, I found that weird, but I found this weirder. He would text me all the time saying, oh, can you come into work today? Like, it's really busy and we really need you. So this was during summer, so I had all the free time. So I'm like, okay, I can come in. So I would come in and clock in. So as soon as I did that, he would send somebody home. He basically just wanted me there every day, even when they didn't even need me. And he would always constantly ask me if I'm hungry, because where my Dunkin's located, there's a bunch of food chains around it. And of course, I would always say, no, I'm okay, because I found it really odd. But not only that, he's also around the same age as my dad. So I just found everything really strange. He would text me even when I'm not at work. And this went on for 2 months until I finally quit. He did not like that at all.
Story time about one of the most embarrassing things that has ever happened to me in high school. So a little background information. I was in my freshman year of high school. Well, spring break was coming up. Well, the whole year, my friend and I hadn't been to one single party. So we decided that we wanted to try and go to a party every single day of spring break, which was about to be super difficult because we had to worry about my strict ass parents and my neighbors. A little background info on my neighbor. My neighbor is this girl who's in my same grade and she literally hates my guts. I don't know why, but literally anything that I do, she'll go and she'll tell her mom and then her mom will tell my mom because my mom and her mom are best friends. But before we know it, Saturday comes around and we go back to school on Monday. We did not make it to one single party. Well, later that night, we found out that one of our friends was throwing one. So around 11 o'clock, everybody's sleeping and I walk out my back door, hop over my fence, and I start heading towards the road where my friend was going to be parked. You know, who do I see fucking sitting outside on their porch reading a fucking book? My fucking neighbor. Like for part 2. Part 2 about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me in high school. So like I said, the bitch that I hate is sitting out on her porch reading a fucking book at 11 o'clock at night. So I crouch down so she couldn't see me. I run to the car and my friend and I finally go to the party. Well, we get to that party and it's really boring, so we decided to go to a different one. And the party that we were about to go through was being thrown by the kid that I really liked. So I start hanging out with him when we get there. I'm drinking a lot, having so much fun, and I really have to go to the bathroom. And I didn't know where anything was at all. So I grabbed my friend and we're looking around everywhere for the bathroom. Because when I asked him, he was super drunk and really couldn't explain to me where the bathroom was. So we were pretty much left to fend for ourselves. But we ended up not being able to find a bathroom, and this is where I had to improvise. So my friend and I go to the laundry room and we see the litter box in there for the cat. Well, at this point, I was desperate, so I just went in the litter box. Well, 30 minutes later, the cops show up to the party. And everybody had to hurry up and leave because we did not want to get underages. Like for part 3. Part 3 about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me in high school. So like I said, I went in the litter box and then the cops showed up. We all ran because we didn't want to get underages. I was able to sneak back into my house without anybody knowing. But when I get to school on Monday, everybody's talking about the party. And apparently the kid that I liked who threw the party, his parents didn't know that he threw one at all. And this was like during first period. So I went to text him and ask him if he was grounded because we were supposed to hang out the next day. And I realized that I am blocked. So I'm thinking, what the fuck? Why does he have me blocked? So I told my friend that he blocked me. And she goes, it's probably because he saw what you did in the laundry room. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's no fucking way that he knows. Because there was a door that led to the outside in the laundry room, there were cameras in there. So everybody saw this video of me. People were posting it on their Finstas, posting it on their Snapchat stories. It was so fucking embarrassing. Not to mention the bitch that I hate who lives next door showed my parents the fucking video and I was grounded for—
So I literally thought people were joking when they were talking about stepsisters getting with their stepbrothers. Turns out it's not a joke, and I just found out that my boyfriend cheated on me with his stepsister. When I was a freshman in high school, I got into a lot of trouble and ended up getting my phone taken away for 6 months and had no social media for a year. My parents literally didn't allow me to have Snapchat until the summer before my senior year. But I was allowed to have an Instagram, so the moment that I was allowed to have my socials back, I made an update on my story. And within a few hours, a boy that I had been talking to before I got my phone taken away swiped up. We started messaging, talking again, hitting it off all over again. And even though he lived about 2.5 hours away, within a week we started dating. I actually had a few other friends that were dating guys in the same town, so I was like, if they can, so can I. After dating him for a few months, I decided to invite him over to my dad so that they could meet. Both my dad and him hit it right off the bat. Chef's kiss. Also, we can call this guy Darren. I noticed that he was super weird with his phone and he would put it in his pocket anytime I was near. I asked him what that was about and he was like, well, I just don't want to be on my phone. It seems rude. It seemed like a logical response, so I brushed it off. But the next day, a girl messaged me saying that she was dating Darren.